How y'all doing? Quick update video on this thing. I hooked the alternator up, hooked it up to a switch. That way when I'm going through the gears, getting it up to speed, I can have it not charging. And then once I get it up to speed and get it cruising, I can flip it on, have it turned on. That way I'm not taxing the engine with the extra load because it's only 13 horsepower and it's moving around the whole truck. I took the 308 axle out of the black S10. I put the 513 axle in the black S10. I took the 410 axle out of this. I put the 308 axle into this. I took the spool out of it and put in the differential gears. So now it's got a different ratio and it's much easier to drive, much better. It's still, slow. It goes like 30, but 13 horsepower moving a whole truck 30 mile an hour. I'm happy with that, and it ain't even working that hard once you get it up to speed. It's just kind of cruising. It's pretty nice. But you got a 3.8 to 1 reduction, 3.86 to 1 reduction between the engine and the transmission. First gear on this transmission is 3.49 to 1. Then I got a 308 axle. Do the math, and that's like 30 or 41 or 42 to 1 reduction in first gear between the engine and the rear tire. So it's still got plenty of torque to get the truck moving in first gear. Clutch slippage is absolutely not a problem. The clutch engages within the first like 2 or 3 feet, and then it's just engaged. I rev it up and bring it up on the governor, and as soon as it hits the governor, I just let off and float it into the next gear and hit the throttle, and the clutch never disengages. That clutch is made specifically for high torque applications for a diesel. It's rated well above what this engine is ever going to put out, and it wasn't cheap. So I'm not concerned about that clutch slipping and burning up. It actually works a little too good. What else? Change the oil and filter. Charging system's done. Pretty much everything is done now except for the keyway's getting some wear in it, where the hub on that big sprocket goes on the shaft. It's starting to get a little bit of play in it, and both set screws are gone, and you can't keep a set screw in there. I don't care how much red Loctite you use, it vibrates it off. So I'm thinking the keyway is going to end up destroying itself either on the axle, the hub, or the keyway itself. So I'm going to slide a new keyway in there, and then I'm going to give it like 4 really good beefy spot welds just to make sure, go that extra mile and make sure that damn thing don't leave me on the side of the road stranded. I'm also probably going to put a couple of tacks just behind that bearing. That way there's no possible way my clutch disc right there that I'm pretty much just using as an adapter hub. I don't want that clutch, that shaft, and this sprocket to walk forward, like slip on. If them set screws and that bearing comes loose and that decides to walk forward, it's going to come off that shaft and it's going to throw the chain, and bad things are going to happen. So to prevent that, I think I am going to put a couple of tacks on the back side of that shaft, because the bearing ain't never coming off that way because there's things welded to it. So it only comes off the other direction. So that would prevent that from walking out. Put a couple tacks on that shaft just to keep it from walking out. 4 big fat hot tacks on the hub to keep it from moving on the keyway. There ain't much left to do, except for drive it. I put different back tires on it because I didn't like, these big fat tires don't seem to be as efficient as those tires. I don't know why. They just seem like they'd have more rolling resistance. But then again, less ground pressure, maybe they're less rolling resistance. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I'm just going to try it and see how they act. And those are a tad bit taller, where I can get a little more speed out of it. So there's you guys. Pointless update on this thing. I will make a video of it driving or something tomorrow or next day, I guess. And I mean, I'm going to be driving it, so you'll see it around, I'm sure. Take her easy, and I'll see you in the next video.